WWE. How are you? If you're listening to us on the podcast side of things, we're doing pretty well. I'm Kevin Kellum. That is Robert DeFilis. We're all bunkered down in two different parts of the country. Robert, how are you surviving the apocalypse so far?
Well, as we touched upon on the Raw Post Show last night, Kevin, I live in Florida, so we're acting like we're totally good. It's all like V for victory. We got this. Okay.
Yeah. If you guys haven't caught that, that was a really, really fun show. We had Iridium Fierro from Rest Friends on. If you want to listen to more of our stuff, go check that out. That is in the WrestleZone radio podcast feed. Also, if you're enjoying our shows on YouTube or Facebook, we have that up there as well. Also, let us tell you this. We truly need your support now. There's a lot of different options, a lot of more people putting out more content. So if you like what we're doing, share it. If you're a fan of the podcast, give it a review, a 5-star review. We will read them on the show, and also share the show with your wrestling friends. All right, we don't. If we're shouting out your names, you got to pay it back. You got to pay it back forward here. Bunch of friends of the show popping on with us here, and you will be interactive with us throughout the whole show. Jay Feliciano, how you doing, Jay? There, bumping, feeding out there. We got Christopher Curtis down in Memphis, Tennessee, wrestling Memphis, Tennessee. You got to say it the way Andy Kaufman said it. So we are live and interactive throughout the whole show. We have plenty to get to. It is not a good day if you're Vince McMahon, and he is the one person that all wrestling fans love to hate and hate to love at the same time for a lot of different people here. Let's get into the XFL lawsuit that broke this morning. Former XFL Commissioner Oliver Luck has a long history in professional sports, is suing Vince McMahon. Tell me about this story.
Yes, according to a report from The Athletic's Daniel Kaplan, Oliver Luck has filed to sue Vince McMahon for wrongful termination as of last Thursday. Luck is suing for unspecified damages, believing he is owed money as part of his contract he signed in 2018 as league commissioner. The heavily redacted complaint states that Luck believes, despite fulfilling his obligations as commissioner and CEO since May 30th, 2018, Mr. Luck was wrongfully terminated by Alpha Entertainment, an affiliate of the defendant, on April 9th. Thus, Alpha has repudiated Mr. Luck's agreement. Mr. Luck brings this action for breach of contract and declaratory judgment against Mr. McMahon.
What do you think here? I've heard a lot of people respond to this like, it was bound to happen. Someone was bound to have some issue over this. I think anytime a big company of any kind, especially one with XFL's high-profile association with the previous XFL, the documentary on ESPN, on TV like crazy, there was a lot of thoughts with a lot of different sports leagues. I don't blame them for shutting down. I mean, it seemed like they just gave it a go. Too much money went into it, and I don't know how they could float it in this kind of questionable space when it was such a new thing to begin with. But this lawsuit, Oliver Luck, does he have any case here in your eyes? None of us are lawyers, right?
None of us are lawyers or even remotely close, but I have to imagine that there will be something found throughout all of the filing with this lawsuit that is going to lead to him having a case and lead to probably some dirt that maybe we're not supposed to know about the inner workings of the XFL.
And there was inner workings of the XFL, people saying, they weren't associated with WWE, and then they were. It's worth noting that when Vince McMahon said they weren't associated with WWE, it's believed that they weren't. And when they were, it was subcontracting, and part of the paying for that was a Plan B stock. So if you just look beyond the headline, you'll be able to do that. But you and I know that many people just want to read the headline and then suddenly have an opinion about the story they didn't read.
I think if you're Vince McMahon and you live in a very corporate world, and you have for many decades at this point, you should be a little more careful with your wording, knowing that every word out of your mouth can be used against you at some point in time.
Jeremy LaForce saying the suit is for Vince. Who is this Vince character? Everyone knows on a first name basis. He says Jeremy LaForce saying the suit is for Vince to get insurance money. So some people going after whatever insurance payout.
Okay. So you think that Luck and
we got McMahon, legal experts here.
Luck and McMahon are in cahoots. They're cahooting to get some insurance money.
Cahooting. They're cahooting and booting. Yeah.
James Espanto, loyal viewer of the show, is asking what happened to the lawsuit the firefighters pension fund had against WWE. Here's what happened. It's still ongoing. That this is still taking place in the middle of all of this, and it cannot be a good time to be Vince McMahon.
Here's the thing. How many times do we hear about lawsuits? We hear about them consistently against a company that big, but it wouldn't surprise me if these things are always kind of ongoing. When you're that big, there's bound to be somebody that wants to go after you, because a lot of people think they'll just get their go away money, right?
Yeah. And, I really think that this is going to be a rough time for Vince McMahon. And I'm not taking this one lightly. I don't think it's going to be a sweep it under the rug,
What, the Oliver Luck case?
The Oliver Luck case and the story we'll get to in a minute here.
All right, well, let's get to the other story here, because you say it's a tough day for Vince McMahon. It's a tough day for the WWE. The layoffs last week were hard. The adjustments were hard. Then there was the speculation of all the different backdoor shenanigans. A lot of people connecting dots and different things like that for them to stay in Florida. Now we have news about a WWE employee anonymously putting out a official complaint at a open door meeting. They put out an anonymous complaint. This was a person named John who did not want their name known, and they were very, very serious about the complaint.
They were very serious. This was this morning. The Orange County Board of County Commissioners held a meeting. There was a room for the public to file comments and complaints, and this employee said they are being forced to work the television tapings, and WWE was deemed as an essential business last Thursday, and they're being forced by WWE to continue working even though they're not following social distancing guidelines. And this person, who did not want their name to be revealed due to fear of termination, said, I want the Florida government to step in here and stop these tapings so we can go back to adhering to social distancing guidelines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, it's worth noting here, Kevin, that Florida is likely going to be entering a phase of reopening soon to where this complaint may not hold any weight, but it does say
null and void.
Yep.
Null and void. Yeah.
But it does say something that this person felt the need to reach out to government officials and say, hey, I don't feel comfortable working in these tapings. We have to touch talent. We have to get close in spite of social distancing guidelines. Can you step in? So WWE, I feel like there'll be a statement if something comes of this that says we're not forcing anybody to work. I saw this comment on the story. You're not forced. That right there. If you're not forced, just quit. Guys, you don't just quit jobs. First of all, you quit, you don't get a severance package. You quit, you're filing for unemployment, and it's not just because you're furloughed. You can't just up and leave money on the table like that, but you would like to have your voice heard. I can sympathize completely with this person, whomever they may be, whether it's a talent, a production assistant. We don't know what kind of person it is, but I sympathize with them.
Well, I mean, I sympathize with them as well, but I also sympathize with the idea of WWE still, and I'm in the minority on this, and I've said this for a while, the idea that they're still trying to put on first-run content, that they're still trying to put out shows every single week, 3 times a week, plus the pay-per-views. I think a lot more people would be upset if they had nothing. If it was just all old-run stuff, I think there'd be a lot more people complaining in a way that you wouldn't see right away, but after 2 or 3 weeks, it'd be like, all right, you guys going to come back, or is this it? This is an audience that is so, I don't want to say spoiled, but like oversatiated week to week with content. It's not just WWE, it's All Elite, it's everything else. There's a handful of different companies that stop putting out stuff. Ring of Honor, for example, is on a full down shutdown. New Japan Pro Wrestling, the culture in Japan is a lot different with these type of virus outbreaks and COVID situations that we're in. You're all aware of it. I don't have to bring it up. So, I mean, they're in a tougher position. Then there was speculation that WWE is doing this because their TV contracts, and other people said that wasn't true. So I mean, there's a lot of things we don't know that we can only speculate on. But this seems like this is legit. This is in a government document. Somebody put this out there. They're upset. But then you have plenty of WWE talent that are saying that they are okay with doing this. They want to find a way to perform as much as they can. You have producers saying they want to do it. So this is one person. You know what I mean? This isn't like we had like a document signed by dozens and dozens of people. So I think that's worth noting. But it isn't good. It's not a good thing to see that come out. Now, if you don't like WWE, are you going to try and use this spark to burn a house down? Probably.
Now, we've seen that happen many, many times throughout the years with things like the steroid trial and the Benoit thing. People tried to just end wrestling with that. This seems like it'll be a bit more selective as far as who is on what side. But I really do sympathize with this person, because maybe they're not a wrestler. Maybe they're not accustomed and equipped to the whole, well, even if you got a broken leg, you're going to tape it up and you're going to go out there and you're going to do the best damn thing you can. Maybe it's just somebody.
But that's the culture of wrestling. That's the culture of wrestling. That isn't the culture of WWE.
But maybe this is just a guy who's got to change the ropes and doesn't feel comfortable changing the ropes.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't know. And I feel like it's right for them to speak up, but it could open up a can of worms that might mean that they and others may not have jobs. Who knows?
Well, it's such a crazy time, and I don't want to make all these stories seem negative, but we just got some bad news to cover today.
Oh no, it's
covering in detail. I got asked about this question. Any more layoffs that we've become aware of? Well, we do know this one. Cassius Ohno is no longer with the WWE. He was on his second run in the NXT division. Was featured recently in NXT UK. Was there for quite some time in the past few years. Was a independent wrestling darling. Featured prominently in Combat Zone Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and all around the world. Previously known as Chris Hero. Well, it looks like Chris Hero is back, and he will continue to wrestle. Ohno, now Hero once again, confirming the news on social media. He is one of those guys, when he got signed to WWE the first time, was expected to become a big thing. When he got signed to WWE the second time, it was kind of clear that he was going to be utilized as a feature player, a journeyman who would get people ready. And he certainly did that, and was also very open to the idea of becoming an agent or a trainer or a support staff member for WWE. Is this the last time we see him in WWE?
It's largely possible because of, he's 40. Maybe he doesn't want to go back there anymore. He's done that thing already. Maybe he wants to go back on the indies and have some fun and be a featured player again. It's disappointing for me because I feel like there's not a lot of guys who have that money on the table aura around them like Cassius Ohno, and it just seems like he should have been utilized maybe even close to a decade ago when they first got him.
True, but it's always coulda, woulda, shoulda, right? Especially when you're looking at things in past tense. Speaking of people dealing with the WWE releases recently, you and I were covering this story heading into Monday Night Raw yesterday, but it didn't seem like we got any of it. But it was somewhat related. Last-minute Raw script changes had Sarah Logan being written out of the show. She was released from WWE last midweek, but was featured on the previous week's episode of Monday Night Raw, where she had her arm broken by Shayna Baszler, and it was expected that she would somehow be included in this week's show, even though she's no longer under contract with WWE. Apparently, we've heard talk that many people have gone to bat with her. Several different higher-ups within the company have gone to bat with her, and there's a potential for her to return to the company sooner than later. This question from Bob Coaster: is WWE going to bring back her? If so, why was she laid off? Well, there was a group of people laid off. I don't think we don't have any specific reason why she was chosen. We don't know those reasons.
Okay, and if I had to, I don't feel uncomfortable speculating here. They probably laid her off saying, "We have nothing for you right now. Tough times. we're going to
Yeah.
let you go. You have to remember she is married to one of the Viking Raiders.
Mhm.
She's married to Eric of the Viking Raiders. And that's got to be difficult if you're him and you don't want to leave your wife at home or have to do something where she's traveling different days than you're traveling. So maybe something was said where it's like, hey, can you at least bring my wife back? I don't mind taking a pay cut. I purely speculation on my behalf, but I think it's clear with how many times they mentioned her on television
Yes.
yesterday that she will be back soon.
She was in the Riot Squad faction. The two other members of Riot Squad had a match. They mentioned her name several times. They replayed the angle from the previous week that she was featured in. If you didn't know she was released online and you just watched Monday Night Raw, you would have thought that Sarah Logan was still with the company.
Right, because they really spoke about her, perhaps more than they do on a normal basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And we now move over to AEW.
Hold on, before we move over.
Okay, all right. What do you got? We got some breaking news
in regards to the prior story about WWE having an anonymous claim.
Mm-hmm.
WWE issued the following statement to Spectrum News 13's Stephanie, I can't pronounce that last name, denying this morning's allegations about the treatment of their talent at television tapings. They said, and I quote, these accusations are not true. Employees know that they can confidently go to HR and not the public. Notwithstanding the appropriate protocol, no one would be fired if they felt uncomfortable with their surroundings. We've made accommodations for individuals upon request. Now, this reporter also says that she followed up on the company's practice of social distancing, to which a WWE representative replied by saying that they were taking the right precautions outside of its performances and adjusted their production schedule to accommodate as well. Now, the long and short of that is this didn't happen. Nothing to see here. We do know that they did make adjustments recently to their schedule, that they'll be taping events through July. And
so that's a big taping too.
Those are huge tapings.
Yeah.
Now that's to say that who's to say if Florida doesn't open up sooner than that, we could see a return to live television. You never know. But it seems like WWE is trying to say that there's no smoke, there's no fire. These accusations are not true.
Well, it is one person. That isn't me dismissing it. It is one person. I would have been more alarmed by this if there was many people signing this. You know, like if there was more than one person signing this here. But thank you for the update on that. We were going to move over to AEW. Some concerning news for them. So they are not running Las Vegas for Double or Nothing. Their upcoming pay-per-view in May. They have taped out television up to that event. We don't know if that event will air live or if it will be taped. And now we learn news that they are in a position similar to WWE. They're taping their television, or at least the last batch of tapings, were taped in Norcross, Georgia, at the gym of QT Marshall, one of the wrestlers and backstage officials with All Elite Wrestling.
You're not supposed to know that. It's parts unknown, Kev.
It's parts unknown. And the main reason they don't want fans to know this is because fans have been showing up to tapings and trying to get autographs and different things like that. And the same thing happened for them at the Daily Center in Jacksonville, Florida. And there was going to be a COVID-19 testing site, like literally blocks away from where they were taping the show. So they didn't want to be involved in being near that, which is reasonable. So we now learn from Wrestling Observer that a unnamed AEW performer. Too many W's. Don't you trip over W's when you're reading all this stuff?
Yes, especially in wrestling, because W is everywhere.
Yeah, so we now know that a unnamed AEW performer has placed themselves in quarantine prior to the upcoming TV tapings, which are expected to pick up content after AEW Double or Nothing, their upcoming pay-per-view in May. It's worth noting that all AEW television, including the TNT title tournament, is in the can and has been filmed. So we're at this point where we'll get to the finals, but what do you think is going on here? We got a wrestler in quarantine. Several WWE wrestlers have already done this, and then you've seen some of those wrestlers perform since they went and came out of quarantine, including Dana Brooke and Rey Mysterio.
Lashley was in quarantine prior to Mania.
Yeah.
And he performed at Mania. It is said by the Observer and Dave Meltzer that this person is in quarantine just specifically to get ready for the next set of tapings.
Total precautionary thing. We don't want to be alarmist or anything like that.
So he seems like whomever this may be, if it's a he or she, they're in good standing, or at least relatively good standing. As to the other half of that report, and whether or not they can be doing live television again, I fully expect it. I fully expect it. They have Georgia, which is, I think, opening up a little bit more than Florida is. They have Florida. They have options. And I do think Double or Nothing will be live on May 23rd from an undisclosed location of their choosing.
Yeah, Joe Cordova is asking, is AEW allowed to operate? So, yeah, you brought that up. Governor Kemp, running Georgia right now. He is one of the states that is really going to try and open up as much as they possibly can under the current
They're
state.
opening up barbershops and nail salons and stuff.
Barbershops, nail salons, hair salons, bowling alleys, gyms,
and
tattoo parlors, and some movie theaters and other similar businesses.
Oh, right. Like restaurants are going to open up.
Yeah. I was just like, what? Like, how are any of those related? How are you opening up a tattoo parlor? God bless you if you do tattoo work. I'm not saying anything wrong to anyone who works in the body art industry. I know several people that do, but that's just crazy. Anyway, if you own a gym, QT Marshall owns a gym, I guess it's okay to have professional wrestling back if it's in a gym?
Well, you have to keep social distance, but can we see small crowds of like people? Like,
my thing is, if AEW can have a crowd, they will have a crowd.
If any wrestling company can have a crowd. And that's the thing. Outside of Japan, like, all American promotions would be doing it. If GCW could run a show right now in Jersey and break glass and do whatever it is that they do, they'd be doing it. You know?
Oh, man, imagine what that's going to be like. What are the death matches going to be like? The precautions for those, how are you even going to be able to run those? How are you even going to let a building, like, how are you even going to be able to rent a building that'll let you run those matches with, like, the blood and the guts on, like, the GCW Game Changer Wrestling and different death matches and stuff like that, too. Sean Smith saying, believe Georgia opened 100% by Monday. No, it's not 100%. Not 100%. They're gonna have restrictions. No, this isn't like green light go, everybody, by the way. This is like we've been covering this for a while. I don't expect wrestling to go immediately back into arenas like in a week or two. It'll be stages. We're gonna build ourselves back up to that. It's worth noting there's no vaccine. There's no vaccine.
There won't be for a year.
There won't be for a year. There could be an antiviral, there could be treatments, there could be an antibody treatment, but we won't even see that until maybe near the end of the year. So, got to hold tight there. And Nishad Jawad, having a good point here. Iron Sheik will take care of all of this.
What?
I agree. Iron Sheik's going to find the virus. He's going to break the virus's back.
Which is what they keep saying on the air. We got to break the back.
And he's going to make the virus humble. And then he's going to do something else with it. He's going to put it in the camel clutch and just take it out. That's what he's going to do. He's going to take it out. Absolutely here. Money in the Bank. We got to see more qualifiers from last night's Monday Night Raw. You guys can check out our Monday Night Raw post show. It is up on the Facebook feed, the YouTube, and the podcast feed. Listen at WrestleZone Radio. Also, more content we just put up there. And the latest episode of the Danny Cage and Double D show with Danny Cage, one of the most acclaimed trainers in professional wrestling, giving you some insight into the industry behind the curtain, which was very, very appreciated. You guys, if you haven't checked that out, it's well worth it. That is podcast only, by the way. No video on that. So tons of content coming out here for you. Money in the Bank, how do you think this is shaping up so far? Despite all the stuff going outside of the ring, I'm pretty excited for Money in the Bank.
It's going to be so much fun. We're going to have 6 men and 6 women going through WWE headquarters, which at this point may actually be on fire. Like,
what do you mean it's going to be on fire?
Yeah, you know exactly what I mean. I'm not going to elaborate there. And I think it's going to be a good time. A good time will be had by all. There's a good chance Aleister Black just levitates to the roof of the building in very cinematic fashion. I mean, Rey Mysterio is the greatest mask of all time. What if he finds Eddie Guerrero's lowrider in the warehouse?
Oh, dude, there are so many possibilities here. So if you don't know, WWE, maybe you haven't watched the past few weeks, they have gone for pitching this as the most unique Money in the Bank ladder match of all time. It's practically not a ladder match, all right? And
No, it will be once, because if you see the photos, we have them up now at WrestleZone.com. Once they get to the roof, it's just Money in the Bank, and they've got ladders all around the ring, and they got a ring, and
it's a reverse ladder match. You have to fight to get to the ladder to get up
which means that at some point, I'm sure anybody that's in this match that may already be in the can has said, "What if I just take a bump out of the ring, off the building? Like, can we have a crash mat to catch me? Like, what
Dude,
can we do?"
somebody's doing something. Also, another thing that's worth noting is there's two of these. So we'll have one with the women and we'll have one with the men. I'm intrigued who gets to go first. Or what's going to be presented on the pay-per-view first. This pay-per-view will air on May 10th. Also on that show is advertised a match between the two titles have been official. Braun Strowman will defend the WWE Championship, the WWE Universal Championship against the Fiend Bray Wyatt. That'll be the SmackDown main event title. Raw side will see Drew McIntyre take on Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. That's 4 big matches right there. They put a card together here that has, on paper, pretty strong. Storylines are coming together, and I think the billing of doing 2 big cinematic matches on one show, and that's another thing, is we had the Boneyard match, we had the Firefly Funhouse. Those are the matches that fans were talking about coming out of WrestleMania, and I think that's why WrestleMania was so well received, despite all this stuff going on. We talked about the XFL lawsuit, all the different things with the state of Florida. WWE's putting on some pretty good shows right now. You know, they're putting on some wrestling that is still well received. People are still going to be mad about it, and they're going to have the Star Wars George Lucas. I love Star Wars, but I hate George Lucas. Hate-love relationship with it.
I think George Lucas is fine. I think they don't like J.J. Abrams. Different thing entirely.
Now they've moved on to J.J. Abrams, right? But yeah. So what do you think here? I think the possibilities are really good for this to be a surprisingly strong show.
I think Money in the Bank, from a history standpoint, there's no way that these 2 matches don't at least make you smile. Like, people are going to be fighting in a building, and I think it's really lost on people that then once they get through the building, they're going to have a match. If you wanted to, you could make these matches an hour apiece and really just extend the time on your show. Because you can't, and I know a lot of people got sick of Edge Orton quickly, but you can't tell me that there's not enough content there. You throw some music in the background as though you're watching Die Hard or whatever, and just let it play out like a movie. At this point, it might as well be until they get up into the ring and just have a match in the ring.
Dude, I want Die Hard. I want all the crazy stuff you could think of in this match. I want big cinematic shots. You mentioned Rey Mysterio finding Eddie's lowrider or something like that. Someone has to fight into the warehouse where all the old props are. I want all that stuff. I want as many fan service things as you can. Someone's got to fight in an elevator. Like, someone's gonna be in an elevator. The possibilities are crazy. You know what I mean? Like, they're and then you get to the ladder. Also, a match on top of a building? That's awesome. Like who's doing that? So whoever thought of this gets a bonus in my eyes. Richard Weaver talking about this. Apollo Crews has qualified for the Money in the Bank match, defeating MVP in a match where MVP really made him look strong. This is clearly the biggest win of his career, especially on the main roster, even in NXT. He's been in the WWE fold for quite some time. Seems like a solid mid-card push for Crews here.
It's pretty awesome. It's a shame that it took a global pandemic, but I'm going to be flat out. I love the focus of WWE TV right now being all focused on new guys because none of the well-established talent is traveling right now. So you have Drew McIntyre who's saying, I'll take the ball, run with it, even though there's nobody there because I want to prove my worth to you. Then you got Zelina Vega, who's going out there making herself a star. Apollo Crews now has a shot. Austin Theory is 22 years old and has risen from essentially just being signed like in January or February, and he's on TV and he's on Raw as part of Zelina Vega stable, doing great stuff from the story standpoint, but not enough going on, I think, behind the scenes to make people feel comfortable.
One of the best, James Espanto Ronaldo, texting in here saying, have Cesaro play Hans Gruber. Yeah, that's a deep Die Hard reference. I'm working on getting someone to come up with a WWE Climb Hard poster. I want it to be called Climb Hard. I'm trying to get.
I'm sorry, is that starring Val Venus?
Hello, ladies. Yeah, Richard Weaver says Bruce Willis should be the special guest referee when they get to the top. It's just Bruce Willis in a tank top. Just it's John McClane. John McClane is a special guest referee, and he has a tank top with zebra stripes on it. I'm okay with that. Yeah, and a lot of different ridiculous here. People want to see a whole bunch of different crazy things in this match here. They want to see Undertaker's casket, they want to see that. All these different crazy things. I'm into the idea of it here. A lot of good things possible there. And also, as we look around the world of wrestling at the moment, WWE has NXT. They're doing the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. I enjoyed the matches last night. We also have the TNT title tournament over on AEW. What do you expect from the Wednesday night shows this week?
I expect NXT to be fun. I finally the other day I sat down, watched Gargano Ciampa. That was one of the most fun things I've ever seen, and I think that was some cinematic wrestling done right. AEW will be more part of the course. We know we got Dustin against Kip Sabian. If he loses, he retires. Gee, I wonder who's going to win. I think it'll be a good show, but I'm ready. AEW more than WWE, I'm ready to get back to normal. WWE, I kind of like what they're doing with the circumstances. AEW feels a little stale for me at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Nashad Jawad texted in saying he's excited about El Hijo del Fantasma. He is the big lucha signing that WWE's had for quite some time, and they've decided to roll him out in this NXT Cruiserweight interim tournament. Good idea there. What do you think of that? What's the upside on Fantasma here? There's a lot of expectations with him, but this is another example of WWE getting a big property from somewhere else, and the track record there is mixed. They had Dos Caras, who became Alberto Del Rio. He became a big star for them, but for reasons of his own, didn't really turn out. They had Sin Cara, who came over as Mystico, and that didn't turn into a huge project. And they brought over Shinsuke Nakamura, had him featured, but now he's really just a mid-card guy. Not a bad move, but still prominently featured. What do you think of Phantasma here?
Gonna be doing great. He's in the Cruiserweight. He's in settings tailored to him. So, I think it'll be good for him. I think Drake Maverick, don't sleep on the fact that this guy got fired. I want you to realize that the man was fired, and they put him on live television.
You're talking about Drake Maverick being in this title tournament.
Yeah, he could be in the tournament with Phantasma and the other 6 names.
Now, are those matches taped? Is NXT taped? It's going to be live. So
it'll be live this week, and most of next week will be live, and then that's where you're going to see the taped episodes.
Okay, all right. So at some point, he's going to have a match that's taped already in the can.
Yeah, after about 2 weeks.
What do you think the chances are that because another thing that's worth noting with this NXT tournament, Drake Maverick is one of the wrestlers that was released last week. So he was the GM of 205 Live, had petitioned online, and it seemed like it was sort of a winking kayfabe social media type thing of like, hey, I want to be a wrestler again. And then they release him, and he goes online and says how sad and upset he is, but they're going to let me continue to perform in this tournament. We talked about this. Are they going to mention that he's released? I don't think they are. And is that going to be an entertaining thing for people online who are aware of the news and are watching Drake now in the circumstance where we've only seen him wrestle like really once or twice in WWE.
Well, you never know. Maybe this puts him on the fast track to being one of the names brought back.
Interesting. And also, I think plenty of those guys will find their way back in WWE, whether in a full-time, part-time, maybe just once or twice, a few shots here and there. Shout out to all the different wrestlers who were released that are doing a bunch of different things. Non-Essential Wrestlers is a new podcast launched by Mike and Maria Kanellis. You can check that out. I haven't been able to listen to it. I love the artwork with it, though. I thought they did a great job. They are putting out merch. I know that Heath Slater just put out his own merch as well that says Free Agent on it. Of course, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, they've been doing their major figure podcast about wrestling collectibles and different things. They've been doing that for a long time. They're going to continue to work. I expect them to be very active out there. So definitely still active with Kurt Hawkins with his Creative Pro Wrestler School. So he's still going to be active at that. So shout outs to them. And if you guys hear any of that, pass it on to us here at WrestleZone. We're aware of it as well. Want to get to this question, Joe Cordova. So is SmackDown just going to be about Triple H this Friday?
No, it's not.
25th anniversary of the game. Triple H.
I wonder where that's going, because that has to be going somewhere.
You don't do that without cutting an angle. They've done these before when they do these big anniversary segments. What was it? The 1000th episode of SmackDown. They had the return of Evolution. They had the Evolution reunion, and they used that to set up Triple H and Batista. Does Triple H get interrupted by a certain figure that calls him out? Is this a lure to get Triple H back in the ring in WWE? He's a big name that wasn't featured at WrestleMania. This is the first WrestleMania in the past few years. We have not seen him perform. Were they holding out on Triple H for something else in the summer?
First of all, this is Triple H's first WrestleMania in well over a decade where he's not featured, which is quite the statement. Money in the Bank's at corporate headquarters. Triple H has an office there. I don't see that not being a possibility. And with the commercials always ending with that thing about him being, I will be the game one more time. You're throwing out very weird teases. But I know this might sour some people. But maybe even if it's just a guy like Corbin, I see it's got to be either Corbin or Bray Wyatt that they're setting up for. Because Bray Wyatt does a lot with the legends, and Bray Wyatt's got the history with Triple H because they, the Wyatt family is an NXT creation. They can play off of that. So I see something happening here. I know for a fact I'll be writing an article or two about what Triple H does on SmackDown.
People asking us about Yummy in the Bank. We're far into the show. We can talk about Yummy in the Bank. So we are doing a fun thing. We've been doing this for the better part of a year now. It started out as an inside joke of wrestling mascots or food mascots having wrestling matches. And it was just one person complaining about KFC commercials and wrestlers dressing up as the Colonel from KFC. Had some KFC yesterday. Haven't had it in a long time. Chicken tendies hitting the spot. But I'll say this: we started it. It became the fast food Royal Yumble. We put out a T-shirt. Are we going to make a T-shirt for Yummy in the Bank? I don't know. But we will have Yummy in the Bank coming up the afternoon of May 10th. Before you see Money in the Bank, we'll have Yummy in the Bank. 6 fast food mascots will scale that greasy ladder, all right, to get to that golden coupon and cash it in for a shot at the French Fried World Championship held by the Grimace.
And the Grimace got there by winning Yummy in the Bank last year. So there is some continuity here. And I can go ahead and say the 6 names because I already decided who they will be. It's everybody that you want it to be. It's Ronald McDonald, Burger King, Wendy's, the Colonel, the Coke Bear, and the Taco Bell dog.
Woo! Miki Hero, Yummy in the Bank. All right, so there we go. That's where we are. We'll have that May 10th, the afternoon of May 10th. Before you watch WWE Network, you'll be able to watch this. We simulate the whole thing in a fun video game. It's going to be really, really cool. If you know anyone who enjoys the WWE video games, even though you may not be getting a 2K21, you're going to be getting this, Yummy in the Bank, on May 10th. If you're a fan of this show and you don't watch that, I am upset with you. I am angry and I am upset with you. I'm raised in a family where shame is a tool, so I will use it on you to get what I want. All right, fun times here, Robert. As more comments kind of come in here, see if we got any more things here to jump on.
The Grimace is gonna choke that chicken, R.I.P. Gooker. And if you're just, what the heck is this guy talking about? That's because the other match on this live stream will be the Grimace defending the championship against the Gobbledygooker, who won the 2020 Royal Rumble. So there will be two matches. I see somebody upset that there's no Noid. Hey, maybe there'll be a Noid.
We're avoiding the Noid. We're avoiding it. We're avoiding the Noid. Mike Garrity saying, just joining the show. You guys listen. I listened to yesterday's show. I enjoyed the girl on the show. She did a great job. Well,
I enjoyed the girl too. Like
girl.
At this point.
Hey, by the way, I don't want that held against me. I'm reading a comment that was sent to us on screen. Okay?
Well, yes, and if you're confused, we did have a girl join us yesterday, and
we had a girl.
We had a girl. Because in spite of the fact that it's 2020 and we had 5 matches featuring women on Raw yesterday, and women are going to be climbing ladders on top of roofs on May 10th, we still get excited when girls like wrestling. So, yes, there was a girl. Her name was Iridian Fierro, and she hosts Rest Friends, which is a blog, podcast, and more over on restfriends.com.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree. So she did an absolutely fantastic job. We will have her back again, as always. This is not just a sausage party, fellas, okay?
And no, I'm not doing a live stream called WrestleZone Daily, the sausage party, okay? We're not doing that. That's not a thing.
Unless we get sponsored by Johnsonville Brats. If a sausage company wants to step up, Polish sausages here in Chicago. My accent just came out. Somebody wants to step up and give us that sweet, sweet sausage money. I will call it a sausage party. I will do that.
I wouldn't, but we all have our different bends.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So different takes there. We are looking forward ahead. We will have a show after AEW and NXT tomorrow night. We'll be covering all the different action. It's easier for us to do a show on Wednesdays after the television. But if we have any breaking news, the good thing with I know a lot of you guys enjoy the show on Facebook Live. If you do, hit that thumbs up button. If that's where you guys really, really enjoy the show the most, I know we're on multiple platforms. Let us know about that. We will have breaking news videos on different things, since there's just kind of the time frame that we're in. We did one last week when the releases were announced. We had one in the middle of the day. So you like our page on Facebook, you also have to follow it. So another hoop you kind of have to jump through. So make sure you get our notifications on. A notification you actually want. If you're watching the show or you're listening to the show, you actually want it. If you're more of the podcast person, our podcast is now available on iHeartRadio. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio. You can listen to us on TuneIn. We are working on getting the show on Spotify as well. Another big, cool WrestleZone thing, merch. We got a whole bunch of merch. A whole bunch of T-shirts just came out. We just got caps as well. I love the look of the caps. You get to choose the color of it. And we also have a really cool neck covering you can do. If you want one of those neck coverings that's custom just for your neck, it has a cool WrestleZone logo on it. And you can get it now at WrestleZone.com. Just click on the merch banner. It's on the main page right there, all the way over in the top banner on the right-hand side. You'll be able to click on there as well. Robert, I know you're busy in the wrestling media world.
I wish I wasn't, but yeah, I am. It's a really busy time in the world of wrestling. Not only do I do stuff over here in the mornings for WrestleZone, I will be doing the AEW coverage tomorrow for WrestleZone, and then over on the weekends I work for Fightful, and that team over there is fantastic. Sean Ross Sapp is always working hard to get scoops over on Fightful Select. Jeremy Lambert is a machine. That whole team is a lot of fun. Kevin is a really jealous
Jealous?
person. I don't know
Jealous?
why. I don't know why.
I'm jealous.
Well, you're acting like it if you're not. So I don't know what to say.
Longtime listeners understand my issue. Okay, I don't need to go into it
I'm
again.
sorry that Sean has hair and you don't. I don't know what to do. Like,
how dare you attack me for my follicle handicap?
because I don't know. Sean's a good guy.
It is a health issue, okay? You don't make fun of someone for something they can't change in 24 hours, Robert. Didn't your mom tell you that? I am pointing at the camera to make my point.
Well, Kevin, I am pointing at you to say that I can love more than one site, and it is okay, and you don't need to be jealous when I bring up the fact that I work for Fightful.
You can't have a polyamorous relationship with pro wrestling media. Pick a side, DeFelice.
I listen. I'm not having a polyamorous relationship with media. I'm having a monogamous relationship with money. You see that? That is how you get Kevin to crack. Thank you all. This has been a wonderful stream.
The headset's off.
This has been a wonderful stream. Wherever you are, I hope you're being safe. We hope you're being safe. Continue to follow along at everything at WrestleZone.com. And when you watch wrestling, you just gotta forget everything. Forget your troubles.
I love this. Before we get out of here, I love this. Sean Ross Sapp is the King Corbin of WrestleZone Daily.
That's kind of funny. And
his work is respected, but he's still despised. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that.
And you know, at the end of the day, regardless of what you're doing, sit down and just enjoy wrestling.
That's what you got to do.